Hello and welcome to the EPULZE Prodigy tournament. My name is Ryan Central. Let me just sort this out. Hello. My name's Ryan, and we are straight into it very early. If you are NA times, you're probably asleep. I don't know why I'm talking to you, but we will be going into the first game, which is going to be DREAMCHASERS versus Prodigy. First map is going to be Haven, with DREAMCHASERS defending. Both interesting teams. Like, I've tried to watch as much as the EU scene as I physically can, and both of these teams really haven't been involved in all that much, to say the least. Like, Godsent have been in a couple of tournaments, big organisation, of course. So DREAMCHASERS have been in a couple of different bits and pieces, but honestly, nothing that makes you go, "Ooh, they're a team to keep an eye on." So this is a great opportunity to sort of turn some heads a little bit. They have a pretty beefy group, though. They have worst players who, again, similar to DREAMCHASERS, haven't really accomplished too much in the scene just yet. And, of course, Hip's team, which have won a couple of tournaments here, or at least sort of come second and third. But we are pretty much ready to get into game. It's just in Hero Select right now, so we'll jump into that very shortly. But this is kind of like the first of its kind in its tournament. Shout out to the Spike.gg, actually, a website that's trying to keep up to date with all of the esports news and all that jazz. And they're going to be keeping track of stats. They've actually launched a new events tab, which you can check out if you go to the spike.gg/events, and then you should see the EPULZE Valorant Prodigies tournament right there. This is going to go on over the next couple of weeks. Of course, there is going to be a week break as the beta goes down, but this means that it should be one of the first tournaments to be around when the game officially launches in 2 weeks' time. So we have this weekend, of course. We have Fish 1, 2, 3 and the Light playing tomorrow, and then Group C and D will be playing 2 weeks. So next week there's not going to be any tournaments, of course, because the stuff goes down. But yeah, we should be pretty much. I've got to say as well, this is the first time that I've solo casted and also done production on the same side. So just waiting for Hero Select. Usually, I think this is a bit buggy in itself, just because sometimes as soon as people pick their agents, it's straight into game. Sometimes it waits all the way, but see if everybody is ready to go. Oh, straight away, falling through there. Like I said, we have the DREAMCHASERS defending first. Sort of looking through the players. The good thing about the Spectator now is that everything lines up properly, but as far as DREAMCHASERS are concerned, a fairly safe lineup. Actually, never mind safe. We have Emilio playing on the Jet, which is something that has become ever popular. Very interesting. And Godsent playing more of a traditional EU lineup, actually. Very aggressive with the Rays, but missing a Cypher. They knew that they were attacking first, and maybe they just thought, we're not going to make that much use out of the Cypher early on, so let's just play something a bit more aggressive, and that's exactly what they're doing. So far, pretty slow start off from Godsent. They've kind of left the spike in spawn, but to be fair, they're still holding around that site. Just scouting out who's holding where. Trying to decide the sort of general direction that they kind of want to go in. You can see everybody that's played to, whilst there's a bit of a dull time, but the Silver actually means there might be a bit of an early engagement as the rush is coming into A. DREAMCHASERS are obviously going to rotate very quickly as they got that intel and obviously had the clumping, but the rotation's coming back, but it's more that they need to keep an eye on Zaddish that's trying to rotate before. If he dies, that's a great opening to just rush towards C, so they need to be very careful that they don't necessarily feed too much, but that's a nice headshot onto Tiny Lady. Alikia does try and trade. Emilio Kicker making it so it's now a 4 versus 2. And the rest of the surviving Godsent members are still holding mid. Pretty much been here the whole time. A minute and 20 has passed, but nice call to Devil Walkers. Open up B site a little bit, but there is going to be the Brimstone holding here on the corner. Neither of them necessarily check that he's there, but reloading becomes a bit of a problem. Doesn't matter though, as Emilio clears up on the Jet. Somebody said, is it the HLTV of Valorant? I've compared it to that. You know, HLTV, if you're a CSGO fan, is pretty much a must. And as somebody, like I said, I'm trying to be a massive nerd on keeping up to date with, you know, teams like TSM signing Mousespaz yesterday, you know, all those kind of things. EU is a region that hasn't had many endemic organizations sign them just yet. But both these teams want to impress. And of course, there's really big other teams in this lineup that are equally as stacked and want to, you know, get signed, want to go large in the esports scene. Godsent doing something similar. Regards to guns, there isn't too much, with Emilio being able to buy a Phantom, of course, because of the triple kill that he got before. But they're just hunkering down mid. You can see how aggressive they are on this defense, because they know, obviously, that Godsent don't have guns. So they have liberation, have a bit of freedom to be able to do that, but the rush is going to come in very aggressively through the smokes. Going to try and push through. The recon bolt just before they came out of Catty gives a lot of intel, but kicking the rest are just rooted behind. Shajish going on another mad flank. Isn't necessarily going to catch the Brimstone, but gets NCL. There's just one alive now. That's going to be Juju. Just still holding on to the classic. It's kind of an expected result. Teams that tend to lose a pistol tend to lose a round afterwards, but now they should be able to full buy. Emilio leading a line on kills. Again, expected. We can sort of have a bit of a look at this. That's the good thing about being able to spectate, is that we can kind of analyze as we go along. But Jet, as an agent, is often perceived as not very good by a lot of people, and you can kind of understand why. When you have characters like Cypher, Brimstone, Sage in the game, they're very selfless. They have great utility that can support the team. Jet doesn't really. She has a lot of great utility that can only really support herself, so that's kind of really what's the case here. But Emilio, again, going aggressive. Why you want to play Jet? I think a lot of people tend to use her abilities to play aggressive, but you play aggressive and use her abilities to get out. I'm just sort of holding again. Godsent struggling to dedicate to anything too early, of course. Means that it's a good job of DREAMCHASERS of just wasting their time in utility, but Emilio goes down. He is punished towards mid. And Alakia is going to keep an eye towards double doors, but that slow is obviously going to stop them. As the aggressive push out the defense moves towards A, there's a nice sort of double flank here. Holding crossfire, but Devilwalk able to kill 3 in total with the help of Sad Rapper that was just holding towards Banana. Devilwalk's trying to tell him to stand a particular place, or trying to sort out a lineup, but see where this recon bolt goes, actually. Try and follow it in the air. If he's going to fire it, there he goes. Oh, it lands all the way in here. Ooh, you might want to copy that one, that's pretty good, but it does show up Alakia, and Devilwalk is able to follow up with the Vandal from distance, getting a nice headshot. Been torn apart so far. Godsent have really struggled in the tournaments that they have played. I think went 0-3 in a Valhalla group stage. Wasn't really the result that they necessarily wanted, but no doubt Godsent would have to save a good portion of money in that round. It did seem that way, at least. And interested to see that DREAMCHASERS prefer the Vandal. Maybe it's on this site in particular, but Emilio is again going to lead on frags out of everyone. NCL still killless so far, but it's been very difficult for Godsent to be able to try and do anything. Even getting onto some of these sites is a bit of a challenge. So you'll tend to see Jets play this aggressive and then use the dash to get out. They're quite happy to have their position shown up. Tries to wallbang as a flash comes through, and they're still going to hold aggressive with the operator. As people are starting to hop along towards sewers, obviously Emilio isn't going to necessarily catch them. Tries to take the engagement, smokes and dashes out of there. Meanwhile, Juju is still in sewers, deciding against it, as this is going to be an ultimate actually coming out of Devilwalk. Manages to tag one, but that's all he can really do. Nobody takes too much damage, as you can see in the top right, so Godsent aren't necessarily too scared just yet, but the time is waning, and this often forces them to push in a particular direction. This time they want to go double doors, and they've spotted that the Sage is holding relatively high. No doubt using it, but the kills are going to come through on the side of Dream Chasers. Now there's only going to be Catty and NCL left on this Godsent side. It shows how much control Dream Chasers have over this, that they keep forcing Godsent into mid, an area where you don't really want to necessarily take an engagement, but Zaj just wants to go on these mad trips, these mad dashes, but this is going to be Cypher holding double doors, pushing aggressively, but Catty's going to sort of take that engagement. Plant's going to come in for seemingly the first time so far, but we can see Emilio is going to push aggressively on this side. That recon bolt will catch them, but it might be too little too late. They aren't even necessarily looking. They rotate around and miss Jet completely, but Emilio was just keeping a clean eye, very close behind. You have time to work. They already have the Bladestorm ultimate, so this extra point of ult charge that you get from the fuse and the spike isn't necessarily going to find much use. But really well played from Alakia. Like, got that engagement well. I feel to an extent Dream Chasers kind of forced a lot of 1v1s that weren't necessarily in their favour just to confirm the kill. And it did open up a door a little bit for Godsent, but Emilio so far is having a pretty staggering game. 8-1. Comparing that to some of the other ladies of Godsent, it's not necessarily turning out in their favour. They are still able to buy, which is good. Emilio's going to hold aggressively. That sub-arrow isn't necessarily going to shut them up, but nobody else is necessarily there. The fight is going to happen towards mid. Catty tried a wallbang, does manage to get it in onto Sadrapper. But we can see the Cypher pushing aggressively, picks up the spike, so those are the rest is going to rotate, but Juju is able to get that frag, able to sort of confirm that kill. Now 2v2. They aren't necessarily sure that Emilio is there, but now they have a good inkling as the operator takes out Catty. Godsent, Juju are going to move towards C, but they need to be a little bit faster. They're trying to catch up the Silver, who's thumping around, making a lot of noise. Devil Walk is trying to spot them, but they're running rings around each other. But of course, this just buys more time. That Juju, I missed the kill. Sorry, I was like, oh, this is going to be great, but accidentally switched over to Emilio. This is going to be difficult for Juju if they plant B, because there's so many sides and they aren't necessarily sure where Emilio is going to be holding. Of course, they'll be wise to the fact that Emilio on the Jet has been holding towards H time, which probably explains why Juju is planting towards this side. Doesn't want to disappear too quickly. But they are very much disappearing off. Maybe pushing towards double doors. I think they might be overthinking this a little bit. Emilio forced to fight with a frenzy because the operator isn't sure, but all they need is a body shot. That's enough of an inkling. The Juju's actually just going to use the orbital strike, but I think Emilio baits that. He knows that they are likely to use it, and they have a good inkling of where they are now, so the defuse is going to be dedicated to. They have time, but that molly's going to come right on time, and obviously, because Emilio is only 10 health, it takes him out near enough instantly. Really well played from Juju. Smart play. That necessarily wasn't. That could have easily been avoided, but doesn't matter too much. Godsent get off the board with some really nice play. Emilio did their best to make sure that they weren't going to get caught out by the orbital strike, but ultimately, they may have not been expecting a Molotov, and if you're 10 health and with the spike deploying in such short notice, you kind of have to dedicate or not regardless. Juju able to sort of put their team up on a point. And pretty much go even with kills and deaths, so it's not going terribly for Godsent. But this is a tricky lineup. Emilio on this Jet again, playing aggressively, but Godsent are wise to it now. That's why they're sort of moving towards C, but both teams are currently 4 versus 4. Double Doors is pretty much hunkered down, and Kicker is going to move back to B. Godsent are waiting for this rotation. Catty is keeping a close eye, because they know that Emilio is likely to come around that corner some point fairly soon. But it's if they can outmaneuver him with the operator. And he's holding that angle down, so Catty is sort of toying with death a little bit there. And again, Godsent forced move anywhere. Emilio gets a kill onto Tiny Lady, which means that he's holding fairly aggressively. Breach is going to miss them, but misses all of the shots even though there's multiple people there. And this is why Jet gets used this aggressively. You can play very close and miss all that distance. Even though Emilio is missing all of his shots right now. Literally all of his shots. People are joking about him needing backband, but finally he gets a kill. Actually, no. It's Alakian. But it doesn't matter necessarily too much. The rest of the Dream Chasers guys are able to clear that up quite nicely. No doubt a couple of Emilia's friends joking about him being backband, but from those shots, I don't necessarily need to double check, I don't think, but is able to get a kill, but that's just how good Jet is at bullying on particular sites. I think Banana is obviously a lot stronger. You tend to see teams like Fish123 do very similar stuff to this, so Emilio is just taking a leaf out of their book, or maybe they took a leaf out of his book, you never know, but the rush is coming in. Juju is going to get sniped down as A has been dedicated too hard, and Emilio, again, Tiny Lady, doesn't have a chance, forces out the resurrect from Godsend. In regards to ultimates, Dream Chasers have a few, but now Zajish now is doing the aggressive thing that he likes to do and pushing him behind. He's going to obviously catch out the Sova. And Emilio's going to hunt him down. It's a 1 versus 4, even the knife coming in. No respect. The Dream Chasers go 7-1 up. This could be a very, not only quick match, but quick game overall. But it's fair to say the Dream Chasers are playing this exceptionally well. NCL has struggled to get off the board so far. But Catty is keeping up so far with the Sova. Got a few more frags than, well, everybody else on Dream Chasers other than Emilio, as we mentioned. In regards to ultimates, they have Showstopper, which is a great way of opening up a door, forcing it open, but Zaj pushing aggressively on the C-site too. And using the Cypher to know that they are in mid again, so you're going to see Emilio wrapping around fairly quickly. They are sort of expecting him to be behind though. It's going to be the bridge keeping a close eye on this angle, but Emilio misses the shots and the operator's giving up, but Alec here isn't aware that there is somebody there behind her, sort of towards their spawn. Yeah, it's going to be Kicker that clears that up. Sadrapper's going to keep an eye towards mid. That's where the spike is, though. Going to run into them at the right time, but Everwatt's going to cover Sadrapper, trying to bait with the stim pack, or at least that's what it looked like. They go 8-1 up. And this time it's looking like Godsend can't afford. They're going to have to eco this one. So if I'm really struggling to get anything done, the one round that they did get was, it dedicated a lot. It even dedicated a full ultimate from Juju, who I don't think has got a kill since that round. So that's the unfortunate thing about it currently. They did pick to attack first. That was their choice. The Dream Chasers did choose the map, so maybe they wanted to get the worst side out of it and then have a really strong defense. That is very much the case with some teams at least, but the attack is pushing in with pretty much nothing but sheriffs and ghosts. Currently already going a member down, but they have traded, so they're going to push onto the seaside through a lot of smokes, but Kicker is holding close. He's going to mow down 3, grabs the spike and knows roughly that Catty's there, but it doesn't matter. Sadrapper's going to clear that one up relatively nicely. Things are really going their way as we now head into the penultimate round of this side. And I do want to say, chat, by the way, if the game audio is a bit loud, then let me know. Oh, the music's still playing. Oops. It's not playing still, it's doubled up with a on 2-way, but We'll talk about it when we get to the side, because I'm really proud of this, and I want to talk about a current bug that's in the Spectator client where the scores swap around and the ingenious fix. But look how aggressive they're pushing here. Actually, Catty sort of baits it out, so I'd rather getting it too big for his boots. He's keeping an eye on double door, where there are two people holding. Zajish is just going to peek out. Absolutely no fear. Kicker is actually holding on an angle that he can't even necessarily see. But it doesn't matter, so they're able to clear up. But Kicker gets two, gets three. Has another neural theft that is super quick. He used it 2 rounds ago. Has an inkling where the breach is, but he's so low that Alakia doesn't need to get too much done to get the frag. Emilio has moved over to B. So the fear of Emilio holding on A might push Godsent into an awkward angle if they're going towards C. They have time still to rotate if they want to, but they're still dedicated onto a site that DREAMCHASERS are aware and are holding. They might choose up against it because the recoil bolt has given them away, or they're just doubling down, actually. The clumping coming through. They're going to be tripped up by the tripwire, and Devil Walk is just going to clear them out. Clean as you like. 10-1 up as we go into the last round of this half. Keeping an eye on the stats, not only for my own use. Like, Catty is doing quite a lot. You know, equal on kills and deaths. So they are able to get frags, but it just seems the rest of Godsent are struggling to follow up on that. But that could have easily gone their way. I think they ever thought maybe going onto the C site, but A was completely free. Emilio has really basically said the A site is not open for business anymore. Each round that they've gone and they failed on A, it means that they are dedicating more towards C, which is pretty much on hold. And of course, there's going to be 2 Ares spamming the door, get a kill, as Emilio is also doing pretty crazy stuff. Nice flick up, but Tiny Lady is going to get the frag very quickly. An orbital strike's obviously going to be used. All of the ultimates can be used because they're not going to be kept for this side. Turn the game audio down a little bit, so we might be a little bit loud. But I guess the sound of multiple Ares like that is going to be loud. Might be another round that we're able to see. So there's only one defender left, Devil Walk. They've been a bit too silly with their lineup, but they aren't really concentrating on what's behind them. If they're going to plant onto B, they're trying to clear all of the lines, but Devil Walk obviously heading towards C is expecting that's the area that they may push onto, and he could be right. He's trying to decide between B and C, but obviously he had the plant and he's going to move towards there. There's a big retake on his hands, but so far everything else has been going their way, and there's no reason to save. Might as well just play for it. Has got NCL on his side, who so far hasn't got a frag. Might be able to clear this one up quickly, especially with Devil Walk not looking, but they just are a bit too eager, peak too soon, literally. And that Shock Dart's going to do a lot of damage and sprays down NCL. It's currently a 1 versus 1. Tiny Lady is going to rotate around. The diffuse is going to try and come in. Isn't necessarily faked. Tiny Lady is going to clear it up as we go into 10-2. We're on so far. So here, for example, as you can see in the top, it says that Godsent are 10-2 up, which of course we know isn't necessarily true, unfortunately. The teams are the right way around, but the scores rotate when they shouldn't. So this was my proposal of fixing it. Ta-da! I need to unbind my free cam button to be the same as switching scenes, but now it looks like it should do. Obviously, it's a temporary fix, but a great way to sort of keep up to date with what the scores actually are. As for the first time, we see DREAMCHASERS attacking. They do get traded, so it's currently a 4 versus 4. Breach Flashpoint does come through, but they weren't necessarily expecting Kicker to rotate around the box that quickly. It is now going to be a 4 versus 2. 4 versus 3. 3 versus 2, sorry. Tiny Lady gets a nice headshot with a ghost. NCL is going to pull through. Cypher's not looking, but Devil Walk is. And Tiny Lady's just going to bull rush onto the site. The Cypher here is very low, so now it's just going to be the last one left, which is Emilio, and that's such a nice kill. Tiny Lady getting through, defusing, bringing the score to 10-3. And this is, signs of life from Godsent. They have the ability, and they're really smart with how they use that utility. It's not necessarily done and dusted yet, but it's still a big wall to climb. I think this goes up for near enough halftime. Tiny Lady's going to hold high on this door. But they have been spotted, or at least been pre-fired, but that's still a nice pick onto Zaj. Very little available in terms of guns, but the Sheriff does get the kill, so that's Kicker going to be able to get one for their team, who is just now sat in a smoke. Godsent now starting to surround the area. Might be careful because they're peeking at the wrong time, and Kicker is very low anyway. So the Spike is going to make their way out of there. Brimstone is still going to hold in there, so that's going to be Sad Rapper. Holding a rotation, aggressively pushes, but that's going to be a very nice breakpoint ability. Coming out the breach. Such a strong ability when you know where people are holding, but the Spike is yet again going to be planted onto the A site within the cyber cage. This 4 vs 3 is now starting to back off away from A. Give Godsent a little space to play with. Now, Recon Bolt is obviously going to come in and show very little. One of the reasons why they decided to opt out of playing on the site, but they still have Emilio that's holding very close. You can see the triangle on the right-hand side, and even the firing coming through. The clomping very loud, but they've scared them away. Devil Walk is just going to try and spam the general area that it is, using the shock dart and the ghost to just delay this defuse as long as possible, to a point where it might actually work. You gotta sort of buy their time and to get the killer to Emilio, but there might not be much time left in it at all. Really well played from Dream Chasers to delay that as much as possible. Even without the guns, they're still winning this battle of utility and most certainly time. It's on their side, even though that sort of looked like it was going to go the way of Godsent yet again, and by all accounts should have done. They had the guns and the money to do that, but that's probably ruined their economy by a good chunk. So they are good to save fully, or at least, buy a couple of guns to give them that, but actually decided to force. They're going to use the Specters to try and bring this one back. Of course, if they fail to do that, it's match point, so that's probably one of the reasons why they wanted to force now, but of course, if they lose this next round, they go on to match point with very little money.
I know exactly.
Neural Theft is going to come through. It's obviously going to be used on the attack, as Godsent have decided to not use a Cypher at all. Tunnel is going to be fired upon. Tiny Lady is holding there, but Smokes are going to make it awkward that there might be a big rotator around. In fact, no, they're just going to pick up this Phantom. Satchels are going to try and do a little bit of damage to the Brimstone, but miss. But the aggressive flank, actually. Tiny Lady assumed that they had the kill, but Diffuse is going to come in. Actually get the kills, even though the breach is very low. But now we're starting to see Godsent play a little bit better on this defense. Dream Chasers do show that whilst they are the team on top currently, that they have weaknesses that can be exploited. Godsent just need to do that for, what, 9 rounds, 10 rounds in a row? Almost? Yeah, 9 rounds in a row. And avoid giving up 2. Which, as we all know, can be really tricky to do. Nice to see you all this weekend, by the way. Hope you're all keeping well. All staying safe and all that. Of course, it's a awkward time. I think everybody's sort of getting fed up at the stay-at-home thing, especially as the weather's starting to get warmer. You can probably hear that I'm bunged up, and I think that's because of the... It's very warm here in the UK, and it's also very hay fevery. A lot of pollen everywhere, so that's probably why. But again, Godsent are able to sort of clear this up. Playing aggressively, they've really like locked down where Godsent are holding this. Devil Walk is backing off a little bit. Wants to get a recon bolt out to scout people, but Catty gets a kill onto Kicker at the same time. Gonna try and play through, but Catty's got that on lockdown. 11-5. Now we're starting to see Godsent get a bit of momentum. They have 2 rounds in a row. Can they make it 3? And it seems relatively likely is the Eco's no doubt going to start coming in on the side of Dream Chasers, who so far on this attack haven't looked as strong. Look at the 5 rounds in a row streak that they had on their attack, but on the defense have only managed to string together 1. Of course, they only really need to grab 3. Their win condition is a lot easier to grab than it is for Godsent, but this could still go the distance. This could still go all the way. And bear in mind, this is a best of 3 too, so even if Godsent do lose this match, this map even, doesn't inherently mean that they're down and out just yet. And they play for the rest of the day. It's the other teams in Group A, Worst Players and Hips team, Hip Hip Hip, who will be casted towards the end of this day. But we're pretty much following Dream Chasers throughout the whole day, which is pretty exciting. They're a team that show promise, but with a big ask. But Sandpaper is going to get 2. Nice headshot with the Sheriff. He's now going to aggressively push on. Picks up the Phantom and gets a nice kill onto Juju. Opened up the site pretty much on his own and does have the Orbital Strike available. Cypher, the only one alive left of this team. Kicker is going to sort of push on through at this spike. And again, it's up to a pretty beaten and bloodied Godsent to try and take this one back. Catty, who so far has had a pretty incredible game when it comes to frags, is able to get as much intel as possible. The recon bolt is just going to help them with that. See if they could scout out exactly where Sandrapper is. Alakia, along with a spam from Catty for the wallbang, going to do that. The incendiary is actually mucked up from distance, so now they can still go for the defuse. The orbital strike, of course, is going to delay them a little bit more, and even gets killed onto both of them. That's how low Godsent were. It looked like Sandrapper mucked up the incendiary to land on the spike. There is a lineup that you can do all the way from the bottom of C long, but it didn't seem to go their way, but that didn't matter. They seem to have forgot about the fact that he had orbital strike, and because it was so low, they only needed to take, what, a couple of ticks of damage? And they were down and out. That puts Dream Chasers on match point, as you can see. It does look a bit weird, I know, but that is because of the spectating bug. It's either that or we put it to what it normally is, and I don't want people being like, huh? Godsent did 12-5 up? That doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't. You're right. Alaki goes down straight away. That's not a good sign for Godsent, who are now holding on for dear life. To the point, actually, the Dream Chasers are going to try and push through this slow right into an orbital strike. It's a miracle that neither of them die. A recon bolt through the smoke is going to give up where Sandrapper is, and he's just trying to survive all of these different ults. Hunter's Fury comes all the way from the connector, but look where Emilio is. He's all the way behind them. He's just taking his time. He's going to even bring out the knife to make him a little bit faster. They're just not checking. Look at this. He's going to go for the knife kill. Emilio's going to be mad at Devil Walk. Got the Hunter's Fury kill onto there, but there's just going to be one left on the side. And there's going to be another knife kill. Emilio, no respect, gets 4 kills. And Dream Chasers go 1-0 up in a pretty fun fashion. Unless you're a Godsent fan, in which case that is the ultimate BM. And you're going to be complaining about that on Reddit and Twitter and how it's unsportsmanship. Don't mind the lagging, but I did want to show you the frags because when it actually decides to load in, there we go. Look at Catty. 18 frags, 17 deaths. Keeping up with the rest of Dream Chasers. It was only Emilio that managed to pull them through to begin with. That does mean that Dream Chasers do go 1-0 up. And sort of expected, I'd say. Godsent have struggled a little bit recently. haven't had quite the success just yet when it comes to what they want to do. Now it's up to Godsent to decide what map they want to play on out of Bind and Split. It's up to them whether they want to go straight into the next game or whether they want like a 2-minute break, bio break and stuff. But there is going to be a 2-minute break, and I'm going to do the same because I need to like blow my nose and get rid of this hay fever, take some tablets or whatever. So we are going to go to a quick break. But currently, Dream Chasers are going to be 1-0 up. And like I said, in pretty good fashion. I think they look to a solid team, but Godsent don't look too bad either. So we will not be going too far away, as the teams are going to take a quick 2-minute break, and I'm going to do the same like I say, but thank you very much for watching this morning. There was meant to be some music, but it's not playing. It might just be a very quiet song, it's hard to tell. I just literally can't hear it. I wonder why that's happened. Doesn't matter too much. I have Twitch chat open over here, that's why I'm just randomly leaning. Please show scoreboards after the game to make the Liquipedia editor happy. It's the awkward thing, I suppose. A lot of people are having that issue. We are going to bind after this very quick break. I will try and fix what's happened to the music because I can't hear it myself. Should be stuff play. Oh, it's because it's muted. I'm such an idiot. Never mind. But right, so we will go for like literally like a minute break because I just popped a loo and stuff like that. But we will be back on bind as we close out, or maybe not even close out. It depends how Godsent play. But currently, Dream Chasers are going to be 1-0 up. And they have a big ask ahead of them. So I'm just going to hop away. A couple of things need fixing on my end too, but we'll do that in the break, right? So we'll be back very soon. Don't go anywhere.